Hello children, today we will be doing the short story The Little Match Girl, written by Hans Christian Andersen. Before we go to the story, let us see something about the writer as well as this story itself. Hans Christian Andersen, his name would be familiar to at least some of us who would have read his fairy tales, his much loved, very popular and Andersen's fairy tales. Andersen is known for his short stories. It is said that the writer had a very difficult childhood, and many of his stories reflect this theme of sadness, of misery, of sorrow, death, etc. This particular story, The Little Match Girl, this story is also one such, a sad story about a little girl who is out on the streets on a very cold evening. It is New Year's Eve and it is very cold, and she is outside, she is outdoors to sell matches to earn some money. In the end, she meets with her death. She dies a very tragic death because of cold and hunger. But this story is more about the hope that human beings possess, the hope that the little girl has, the hope that the readers have. We as human beings always have this hope in us. It is inherent in human beings. If you look at you see the case of today itself, you see the world over, the world is going through a global pandemic, isn't it? We are faced with an unprecedented situation. We are passing through a crisis, but yet all of us, each of us, every single one of us has a hope in us that someday our lives would become normal, or someday it will go back to the normal life that we led earlier, isn't it? That is the power of hope. This story is also one such, about faith, hope, qualities like compassion, charity, etc. So now let us come to the story. Also, I would say this story is set in the 19th century, and it portrays or it depicts a realistic view of the people of the times, of the lives in that era, in that Victorian era. It actually paints a realistic picture of the Victorian era. So now let us come to the story. The Little Match Girl by Hans Christian Andersen. It was bitterly cold, snow was falling and darkness was gathering, for it was the last evening of the old year. It was New Year's Eve. So it was 31st December and the story is taking place on New Year's Eve. In the cold and gloom, a poor little girl walked, bareheaded and barefoot, through the streets. She had been wearing slippers, it is true, when she left home, but what good were they? They had been her mother's, so you can imagine how big they were. The little girl had lost them as she ran across the street to escape from two carriages that were being driven terribly fast. One slipper could not be found, and a boy had run off with the other, saying that it would come in very handy as a cradle some day when he had children of his own. So what is happening? It is New Year's Eve, 31st of December, and there is this poor little girl. This girl is the one main character in this story, and she is out on the streets on that cold evening walking bareheaded and barefoot, bareheaded in that biting cold also, she did not have proper clothes to wear to protect her from the cold. Also, when she left home, she was wearing her mother's slippers, but in a bid to cross the road and escape from two speeding vehicles, when she was cutting across the road and trying to escape from two speeding vehicles, she lost her mother's slippers. She was wearing her mother's slippers and she lost that also. One of the slippers is lost and the other was taken away by a boy, and that boy said that it would come in very useful to him as a cradle when he has children of his own. That was a cruel joke to say at that point, but it only goes to show that this girl was actually very poor. It just shows her that level of poverty. Okay, she doesn't have proper clothes, she doesn't have proper footwear, and she's out on the streets on a cold evening. So the little girl walked about the streets on her naked feet, which were red and blue with the cold. Red and blue with the cold meaning her feet had become numb. There was no sensation it had become numb. The streets must have been covered with snow and she was walking barefoot, so naturally her feet must have been numb. In her old apron she carried a great many matches, and she had a packet of them in her hand as well. Nobody had bought any from her, and no one had given her a single penny all day. She crept along, shivering and hungry, the picture of misery, poor little thing. So what is that? She is walking on the streets and she has got matches with her. She is trying to sell her matches, but so far nobody had bought any matches from her, and she had not earned even a single penny. She crept along, meaning she was walking slowly. She was cold, she was hungry, tired, and she was a picture of misery, poor little thing. See, she herself was a picture of gloom. You can see from this that the writer has painted a very sad picture in front of the reader, isn't it? To the reader, he is giving a very bleak picture. The setting itself is winter, harsh winter, and it is cold, it is dark, and on top of that, this poor little girl, she's out in the streets, isn't it, trying to sell matches. She hardly has any warm clothes, and she's walking barefoot also, and she's trying to sell matches, and nobody had bought any from her till now, and she had not earned even a single penny. So on the whole, you can see it is a very bleak picture that the writer is painting to the reader. See, in this story, the writer uses a lot of figurative language. He uses literary devices to actually bring across the effect of the story, in the minds of the readers. So here, in this particular passage where we read, we can actually, he has used visual imagery. We can actually picture, we can actually visualize that image in our minds, isn't it? We can picturize that, it must have been a town, a city where the streets are all covered with snow. It is getting dark, it is very, very cold, and there is this poor little girl who is trudging along, who is walking slowly, cold, shivering. She's hardly, she's not protected at all. She's walking bareheaded, barefoot, and she has got matches with her. She's trying to sell them. So on the whole, we can actually imagine that right in our minds, and that is visual imagery. Now let us continue. The snowflakes fell on her long golden hair, which curled so prettily about her neck. But she did not think of her appearance now. Lights were shining in every window, and there was a glorious smell of roast goose in the street. For this was New Year's Eve, and she could not think of anything else. So, what is that? This paragraph, this short paragraph, tells us about the appearance of the girl. This little girl, she was quite a pretty girl with long golden hair falling about her neck. Also, it was New Year's Eve, and every household was busy cooking a New Year's feast, and that glorious smell of roast goose was wafting into the street. This girl could get that wonderful aroma of roast goose in the street. It also shows that she was quite tired and hungry. She huddled down in a heap in a corner formed by two houses, one of which projected further out into the street. She huddled meaning curled up or sat down with arms and legs drawn towards yourself, in a bit to keep yourself warm. So she sat down, she curled up down where in a in a nook formed by two houses, one of which projected further out into the street than the other. But though she tucked her little legs up under her, she felt colder and colder. So she sat down in that small corner or nook that was formed between two houses, and though she tried to pull her legs towards her to keep herself warm, she was not very successful. She still felt very cold. She did not dare to go home, but she had sold no matches and earned not a single penny. Her father would be sure to beat her, and besides, it was so cold at home, for they had nothing but the roof above them, and the wind whistled through that, even though the largest cracks were stuffed with straw and rags. So this little girl, she had not sold a single matchbox also, but yet she preferred not to go home. She wanted to be out in the street itself. Why? Because she was scared. She knew that her father would beat her. Also, out in the streets it was very cold. It is not that, if she had gone home, she would have felt warm. It is not that her home was anything, a shelter of warmth or anything, because it was just a small little shanty. There was just a roof above their heads, and there were, cracks and holes and all there. And even though clothes and rags and all were stuffed into it, it hardly gave them any warmth. So there is not much of a difference, between the being in the street or going home. So she preferred to be in the street. That way she could escape her father's abuse also. So she preferred to be there, and she sat down, crouched between that space formed between the two houses. Her thin hands were almost numb with cold. If only she dared pull just one small match from the packet, strike it on the wall and warm her fingers. Yes, she was feeling numb, isn't it? She was freezing, she was shivering with cold, and she was thinking she had matchsticks with her, isn't it? She just thought that if only she could light one match from the packet and try to warm her fingers. She pulled one out. Scratch! How it spluttered and burned. It had a warm, bright flame, like a tiny candle, when she held her hand over it. But what a strange light! So what is happening? She is taking out her first matchstick and lighting it. And how it spluttered. Spluttered meaning that just when you're lighting something, that crackling sound, that that sound when it starts to catch fire, no, that is that noise, that is splutter. So when she also lit that matchstick, it gave out that spluttering sound, and what happened, a bright flame like a tiny candle started burning, and she held her hand over it, and what a strange light. And what is happening, it seemed to the little girl as if she was sitting in front of a great iron stove with polished brass knobs and brass ornaments. The fire burned so beautifully and gave out such a lovely warmth. Oh, how wonderful that was. So she is getting a beautiful vision. What is a vision? When she is striking that first matchstick, when she is lighting that first matchstick, she feels that there is a big great iron stove with shining brass knobs and ornaments. It is giving out that warmth, and she is also feeling very good. When she's feeling very warm, it is that matchstick is burning like a tiny candle with a very strange bright flame, and she feels a great warmth coming out from the big iron stove that she sees, and she feels very good about that. The child had already stretched her feet to warm them too, when out went the flame, the stove vanished, and there she sat with the burnt match in her hand. So what is that? She stretched out her feet towards that stove so that she feels warm. And when she does that, what happens? That matchstick, it burns itself out. Out went that flame. And again, she is sitting in the cold with that burnt matchstick in hand. That beautiful vision which she had just had, that disappears, and she is left back in the cold with a burnt matchstick. She struck another. It burnt clearly, and where the light fell upon the wall, the bricks became transparent like a gauze. She could see right into the room where a shining white cloth was spread on the table. It was covered with beautiful china, and in the center of it stood a roast goose stuffed with prunes and apples, steaming deliciously. And what was even more wonderful was that the goose hopped down from the dish, waddled across the floor with the carving knife and fork in its back, waddled straight up to the poor child. Then out went the match, and nothing could be seen but the thick, cold wall. So here, this poor little girl, she's having a second beautiful vision. She's lighting a second match, and this time what does she see? She sees a wonderful New Year's feast. The wall in front of her, it becomes transparent, and she could see right into the house. And there in the center of the room stood a table which was covered with a beautiful tablecloth, and there was a roast goose stuffed with prunes and apples, steaming deliciously there on the table. Prunes meaning dried plums. So it is a very special dish that is prepared for New Year's feast, and it was steaming very deliciously. And what was even more wonderful, what was that? That the dish was waddling straight. That goose, it jumped out of the table and it walked straight across the floor along with the knife and the fork and everything. It walked straight across to the poor child. And so what does this indicate? It just shows how much the girl was longing to have a bite of that. She was hungry, isn't it? She was hungry, she was tired and hungry, and such a feast, such a such a special dish, she could not even dream of partaking such a dish. She could not even dream of such a thing in her life. So then this is what she really longed for, and at that moment she was hungry, she was longing to have a bite of it. And just at that moment, when the goose was waddling towards her, the matchstick burnt out. And what was left? Only the cold wall in front of her. So here you can see the two visions. The first one was the iron stove, and the next one is the New Year's feast. Each is a symbol. We will come to that later. Let us see the next also. She struck another match, and suddenly she was sitting under the most beautiful Christmas tree. It was much larger and much lovelier than the one she had seen last year through the glass doors of the rich merchant's house. 1,000 candles lit up the green branches, and gaily colored balls, like those in the shop windows, looked down upon her. The little girl reached forward with both hands. Then out went the match. The many candles on the Christmas tree rose higher and higher through the air, and she saw that they had now turned into bright stars. One of them fell, streaking the sky with light. "Now someone is dying," said the little girl, for her old grandmother, the only one who had ever been good to her, but who was now dead, had said, "Whenever a star falls, a soul goes up to God." Okay, so here the little girl, she strikes a third match. And what is the vision that she has? What she sees is a most beautiful Christmas tree. It was something which was much larger and lovelier than the one she had seen the previous year at a rich merchant's house. When she had peered through the glass doors of a rich merchant's house, she had seen a beautiful Christmas tree, and now what she was seeing was much more beautiful than that. And the Christmas tree was beautifully decorated. It had all candles lit up in the green branches, and gaily colored balls, brightly colored balls were there, and it was all looking down upon her. And she stretched her hands to hold it, and what happened? The matchstick burnt out, and again nothing, out went the matchstick. And what happened? The candles on the Christmas tree, it went higher and higher through the air into the sky, and it all became beautiful, shining, bright, shining stars. And one of those candles fell. It became a falling star. It became a shooting star. You have seen shooting stars. Now someone is dying. See, and when she saw the shooting star, she was reminded of her grandmother. Her grandmother, the only one who had loved and cared for her. So the grandmother had told her that whenever you see a falling star, it signifies, it means that a beautiful soul was ascending to heaven, that the good soul was going up to be with God. So she was reminded of that. So here we see the girl has struck 3 matches, and in these 3 matches she has seen 3 beautiful visions. Each of these visions is symbolic of her own needs, of her own longing, something that she really wishes. The first one is an iron stove, and it signifies warmth. It shows how cold she was feeling. She just shows it. She signifies that she was feeling very cold and she longed for some warmth. And the second one is the roast goose, which shows that she was hungry, she was tired and was yearning to have a fair and square meal. The third one was the beautiful Christmas tree. The third vision that she has is of the Christmas tree, and it shows that she has been deprived of love. Christmas signifies love, hope, the joys, the love of a family, the celebrations of a family, and she is the brotherhood. She is missing all that in her life, and she's yearning for some love and security of that family, the safety, the security of the family, and she is missing all that. So all these visions that she has, all these are symbols. She struck another match on the wall. Once more there was light, and in the glow stood her old grandmother, oh so bright and shining, and looking so gentle, kind, and loving. Granny, cried the little girl, oh take me with you. I know you will disappear when the match is burnt out. You will vanish like the warm stove, the lovely roast goose, and the great glorious Christmas tree. Then she quickly struck all the rest of the matches that she had in the packet, for she did so want to keep her grandmother with her. So the little girl is striking the matches yet another time, and who appears? Her grandmother. Her grandmother who was the only one who loved and cared for her, appears bright and shining and looking very gentle and kind. And this little girl, she cries out in delight. She is happy to see her grandmother, and she says, take me. She appeals to her grandmother to take her with her. She says, I know you will disappear once the matchstick is burnt, like the stove and the roast goose and the Christmas tree. I know you will disappear, but take me also with you. And what did she do? She quickly lit up all the rest of the matches that she had, so that her grandmother remains in her vision. She does not want to let her go, and she lights up all the rest of the matchsticks that she had, so that her grandmother remains there. The matches flared up with such a blaze that it was brighter than broad daylight, and her old grandmother had never seemed so beautiful or so stately before. So naturally, when she strikes the rest of the bundle of matches, it blazed up. Obviously it was quite bright like daylight, and her grandmother stood beautiful. In the middle stood her grandmother, beautiful and so stately meaning very beautiful, very impressive, like never before she stood. She took the little girl in her arms and flew with her high up, oh so high, towards glory and joy. Now they knew neither cold nor hunger nor fear, for they were both with God. So what is the grandmother doing? She took the little girl in her arms and flew high to heaven with her. What does that mean? The little girl ultimately has now met up with her death. The grandmother took away the little girl with her, and in that now the little girl is away from all the sorrows of life, isn't it? And she is with one person that she loves. She is with the person whom she loves the most, and she will not be in a position to know the cold nor the hunger nor fear or anything. She is at peace with her grandmother in heaven with God. But in the cold dawn, in the corner formed by the two houses, sat the little girl with rosy cheeks and smiling lips, dead, frozen to death on the last evening of the old year. The dawn of the new year rose on the huddled figure of the girl. She was still holding the matches, and half a packet had been burnt. She was evidently trying to warm herself, people said, but no one knew what beautiful visions she had seen, and in what a blaze of glory she had entered with her dear old grandmother into the heavenly joy and gladness of a new year. So what happened? The girl died of cold. She was frozen to death, and on the next day, the New Year's Day, she was found dead between the two houses in the same huddled position with she was still holding the matches and half a packet had been burnt. The girl had a smile on her lips. Even though she was dead, she had a smile on her lips. The people who saw her sympathized with her and said, "Oh, the poor girl died of cold. She was frozen to death." Yes, she was definitely frozen to death. But what the people did not know was that she had seen beautiful visions. She had been delivered of the worldly miseries. She had ended this world. She had ended this life of misery, and she had gone smiling with her grandmother, the person whom she loved the most. And she had been reunited in death with her grandmother and, of course, God also. So her death had been a deliverance from this world of misery, of pain and suffering, and she went with her grandmother with a smile on her lips without a trace of regret. So now we have come to the end of the story. This is a story which has a theme of struggle, desperation, loneliness, yet there is also hope, love, faith, etc. This is also a story which is rich in imagery and symbolism. The writer has used imagery to describe the appearance and condition of the poor girl earlier in the story. This is done with a view to induce pity in the minds of the readers. Also, there is visual imagery in the visions that the girl sees, whether it is the gleaming gas stove, the table which is laden with exquisite porcelain, the roast goose, the candles burning on the Christmas tree. These are all examples of visual imagery. More importantly, in this story, the writer makes use of a lot of symbolism. Each of the visions that the girl has is symbolic of the basic necessities of the life. The iron stove, the gleaming iron stove, symbolizes the warmth that the girl is bereft of. It symbolizes the cold that she is experiencing. The magical roast goose is symbolic of her hunger. She has not had a proper meal, and it shows her hunger, which she is longing for that meal. The magnificent evergreen Christmas tree, brightly lit, beautifully decorated. This can happen only in happy, healthy homes, and this was exactly what the girl was missing. She missed the love, the security and the safety net of her family. She didn't have a family to go to. There are other symbols also, like there is the falling star, which is the symbol of a soul ascending to heaven. Then there are matches. Matches play an important role in this story. The matches are a symbolic of the warmth. Each matchstick that she lights is a symbolic of her hopes. The matches are also symbolic of the light of God, of the girl's hopes and the light of God. Even the grandmother, the face, the love and the radiance is the shining face and the radiance is a symbolic of the love. Even the New Year's Eve is also a symbolic. It is symbolically showing that the end of the hardships and the something new that is there for the girl, a turn of events for the girl. So there is a lot of symbols that is being used in this story. Also, as I said earlier, this story portrays a very crude yet a realistic picture of the society of the Victorian era. One distinct aspect is that of the social class differentiation. There was this rich and the privileged class, and then there was this working class, there was this poorest of poor. And also very often we see that during those times child abuse was also common, like we see in this story also. Many times because of the poverty, the parents force the children to go out and work and earn money. Here also that is what is seen, and very often they are also a victim of abuse. Also the indifference or the apathy of the upper class towards the poor, that is also being depicted in the story. That was also prevalent during the Victorian times. The indifference of the rich people to the needs of the poor people. That is also one of the distinct characteristics of the Victorian era. So that is what it is. Even though Anderson has written a tragic tale, there is some grim hope in this tale. We can hope for a better, for the poor little girl, this was an end of the unhappy existence that she had been, and now she is reunited on New Year's dawn. She is reunited with her grandmother. She has faith in God and she hopes for a better afterlife. Also, so there are a lot of things that we can learn from this story. The story is intended to teach the people also many such morals. It teaches us to be more generous, more kind, more compassionate towards the poor. Thus, the more you understand the story, the deeper the impact it creates in the minds of the reader.